Hello and welcome to Building Foundations. I'm Jennifer Kroom, the Interim Executive Director of the Education Foundation, and today we're here to talk about the Indian River Regional Science and Engineering Fair. I have three guests with me today to help share their unique perspectives on the Science Fair and what it's all about. First, I have Terry Berenborg with me. She is a school board member, she's a parent, she's a volunteer, and she's a former science coordinator. So thank you for being here.
Sure.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We have Pat Blackburn, who is the president of our board of directors of the Education Foundation. She's also a science fair parent, so welcome and thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here.
And we have Griffin Wagner, who is a high school student here at Vero Beach High School. He is an award-winning science fair superstar, and we'll hear more about his awards later, but thank you for being here, Griffin. So to start with, Pat, can you just give us an overview of what is the Science Fair for those who may not be aware?
Sure. So Science Fair is a competition for students, and what they do is they will do a science project, and their project should either prove or disprove a hypothesis using a scientific process, or in the case of our engineering students, they are often using scientific process to solve a problem. Our science fair is open to students kindergarten through 8th grade, and everyone has an opportunity to participate, whether they go to a public school, private school, or if they're a homeschool student. And this year's science fair is on Saturday, January 25th, and it's at Gifford Middle School.
Great. So you're the president of the board of directors at Ed Foundation. Why does Education Foundation host this?
So the mission at Education Foundation of Indian River County is to work with educators in the community to connect resources to ensure that students are engaged and motivated every day. And I don't know any better way to do that than through Science Fair. You know, it's a collaboration. We collaborate with our science administrators, with our teachers, with students and parents, and then it takes tons of volunteers and judges, and we so appreciate also our community sponsors. So it's everything, it embodies everything that our mission is at Ed Foundation.
That is wonderful. You talked about sponsors and volunteers and even I know the scholarships and awards. So could you take a second to talk about this year's sponsors and maybe some of the scholarships and awards that were given out last year?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, our Education Foundation is the only education foundation in the state of Florida that hosts a regional science fair. So we joke that ours is the best. But our students are no joke, and when they participate in our regional science fair, they often go on to other competitions and win lots of awards. This year, we have sponsors. Our grand sponsors are the Georgie Warren Corporation, Grand Harbor Community Outreach, Piper Aircraft, Wells Fargo, and we have scholarships. Last year we had scholarships from Florida Institute of Technology, Indian River State College, and was it Embry-Riddle?
I think Embry-Riddle.
Yes.
Also.
And then our program sponsors this year are Einstein Brothers Bagels, Publix Supermarket Charities from Publix, and then we do have people who actually sponsor awards, special awards, cardiovascular consultants, the Chesley family, Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute Foundation, Dr. Linda Clerch, the Caprio family, the Dong family, and Florida Power and Light. And we are just so thankful for all those people and organizations who sponsor our science fair. And we would also like to give special thanks to St. Edward's School, who has been providing the transportation to the state science fair for our students. That just gives them the opportunity to all go together and participate.
That is great. Thank you for giving that overview. Terry, as a board member, why do you think science fair is important to our students today?
Well, it's evolved since when it first started here, I know. I will say that it allows students to have critical thinking where they're looking at one topic and they're researching that topic and testing that topic, and they're finding out everything they can about that topic, and they gain lots of skills from that. Not only research, but they also have the opportunity to talk to an adult, to really back what they say, to defend a statement, and I just think it gives them a lot of really neat skills, like I said, critical thinking skills that they can use in all kinds of aspects of life.
That is wonderful. Griffin, you have a unique perspective. You've participated in science fair, I know, since you were in elementary school. So you've
Since fourth grade, 8 years now.
8
9.
years. So, and can you talk a little bit about your journey and why you think it's important you've started and how you've gained experience through the years to where you are this year? And if you want to give a little sneak peek about this year's project, we would love to hear about it.
Yes, I started in fourth grade, and back then I was just looking at how styrofoam affects temperature of the water. But my project slowly evolved with me, and by 9th grade I was working in the Vero Beach High School lab, growing algae to see how we can understand algae blooms in the Indian River Lagoon. And I began getting more into it. I began looking at not just the competition aspect, but also the entire investigative process of it. And I learned not only about algae blooms in the lagoon, but I also learned how to apply the problem-solving skills and the research skills to any subject. So this year, I'm performing the first microsystem machine learning survey of the Indian River Lagoon. And I'm looking at, is there a way to detect toxins in the Indian River Lagoon through machine learning practices?
Wow, that sounds very incredible. And who are you working with on that project?
So this year I'm working with Dr. Malcolm McFarland at the Harbor Branch Institute, Dr. Eben Shore, and Mr. Jeff Bush at the high school.
Wow, so you've worked through the years, learned, and now you're working with scientists from Harbor Branch and your teachers here at the high school. It's very impressive.
Big group has got me here.
That's wonderful. And your dedication, so that's great. Switching gears a little bit, we all know that science fair needs a lot of judges. There are a lot of categories and a lot of ages. So, Pat, you know firsthand about this. Can you tell us what it takes to be both an elementary and secondary judge, what qualifications, and maybe a little bit about the time commitment?
Okay, well, it's going to be the easiest thing and the best thing you've ever done. The rewards for judging are not monetary, but they're out of this world, intrinsic, and the warm fuzzies you're going to get from doing it. You're going to be inspired by our students. You're going to leave there with so much hope for our future, because you're going to see our future leaders there at that science fair. And to be a judge in the elementary division, you don't need any special skills. You just need a little basic understanding of scientific method, and you need to be able to listen and talk to young children. And if you think that you might not be able to do that, just sign up. We have orientation the night before, and we're going to help you be successful. And then for our secondary, let me back up. In the elementary division, we also invite some of our high school students who have participated in science fair for years to also be judges. So they can do it and you can do it too. Then our secondary division, we do need judges who either have a degree or have experience in the field that they're judging, because our projects are amazing, as you've heard, and you know, we need people with a little more knowledge to be able to be a good judge. That also has an orientation. Orientation for that would be Friday, January the 24th. If you're an elementary judge, that will be from 5 to 6 at Gifford Middle, and if you're a secondary judge, from 6:30 to 8. Then on Saturday, you'll be at Gifford from 7:30 until around noon, seeing the projects and doing your judging. And we encourage you to sign up. We still need some judges. And the best and easiest way to sign up is through our website, and that's edfoundationirc.org. You can go there, you click on programs, click on science fair, and there's a place for you to click to sign up to be a judge.
That is great, thank you. And I happen to know that thanks to Einstein's Bagels, when you come on Saturday morning as a judge, there'll be coffee and bagels for you before you get started. So it's just another reason to come on out. Terry, you have judged science fair for years before, and you are a judge this year. Thank you, we appreciate it, and are excited.
I love it.
So you are unique in that you are a science coordinator as well. So can you just talk about what it's like to be a judge?
I think it's, like you said, very rewarding. You get to listen to children that are experts in their topic, even the little kindergartners, and they're just so cute. Yeah. And you get to ask them questions that helps promote further learning or kind of makes them think a little bit, and without putting them too much on the spot. You don't want to do that. But I think it's very encouraging because you're sitting there thinking, wow, there is hope for our future.
Yes.
These kids are amazing. And just from the different types of projects that you see, it's like, wow, how did you even think to test that? So it's really a rewarding experience to be the judge as well.
That is great. Griffin, you have a very unique perspective because obviously you've been in science fair for 8 years. Can you talk about the different impact judges have had on you through the years, how they've helped you or given you motivation?
Yes, after the regional fair, before the state fair, some judges come back and talk to you about your project and ways you can improve your presentation or even improve the analysis part of your project. And that has probably been the most helpful for me as I prepare for states and international competitions, because during the competition, the judges, they're talking to you about your project, how you can improve it, how you can improve your presentation. But afterwards, when they come back, it's really helpful because the judges have talked specific to my project, what I can do to improve it and be successful at every level. So I know 2 years ago, my statistical analysis section was a little lacking after the regional fair. And one of the judges sat down with me and outlined how I could improve it before the state fair, which was that year I got second place in microbiology. So it was very helpful. And just talking with the judges at the regional fair, it's also been very rewarding because the ideas that come out of just the conversations we have are very impactful to my project.
That's great. That's great. So again, if you'd like to volunteer, please head to the website and sign up. So we've heard a little bit about why science fair is important already. And I think that hearing about individual experiences really brings science fair to life. So Pat, you are a proud parent of a science fair student.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about what Will's experience has been like and maybe some of the different benefits to science fair beyond just the research skills that the kids gain?
Sure. Well, this is where, you may have to stop me because I could go on all day, brag about your child. But yes, so what brought me to Ed Foundation was science fair. My son was fortunate enough to participate in the regional science fair from kindergarten. His class did a class project in kindergarten, and he and another girl in his class were chosen to co-present. So that was just a really neat experience, and I knew absolutely nothing about the project, and the teacher did it all in class. The class did it together as a group. They were collaborating together to understand the method and the project. And the teacher was like, put him in some nice clothes and show up at Gifford. And we knew nothing. And it was just, I was just blown away by, watching him and his friend there, practice right beforehand. But even we didn't practice at home. The teacher, didn't want them to feel stressed out at all. So he really enjoyed that experience. In first grade, he did not get to present, but the project they did in class with Diane Jelly was his teacher at Beachland Elementary School, and the project they did was on molecules and heating and cooling molecules. They used tennis balls. You've probably seen this project before. They did that as a class project. So even though he was not a presenter at the regional science fair, 2 years later, they had this content in their science curriculum in third grade. And his teacher, Mrs. Brusha, was talking to him. She's like, how does Will understand molecules? And I'm like, because he did it for science fair in first grade with his class. So we know that when we are able to engage and motivate students, we take that learning from a textbook and make it real for them, and they remember it. It sticks with them. And then, starting in fourth grade, he had the ability to take something he enjoyed and choose his own project. I think that's when you said you started, was fourth grade.
Fourth grade, yes.
And you're able to actually investigate the thing that that turns your lights on. At that time in fourth grade, he loved Nerf darts. And his project was on finding the angle you could shoot the Nerf dart to achieve the greatest distance. And one thing from that, he did the whole thing himself. I know we had lots of problems that we had to overcome. He tried doing the project outside, and the wind was blowing, and the Nerf dart went everywhere. So we knew that the results of that project weren't going to be valid because the wind came in and added an extra variable. So he had to problem solve to make his project work. Then I remember after he participated at the school level, and then if they do well at the school level, then they get to go on to our regional fair. And I can remember he does practice his presentation. He makes sure he really understands his data and everything. And after the judging, we were going home, and I said, well, how was it? And he was like, well, they asked me some really interesting questions, Mom. And they asked me why NASA doesn't shoot the rocket at a 45-degree angle. And I cannot remember the answer he came up with, but he came up with he must have been a really good answer because he got first place with that project. And it just helped me realize the higher order thinking skills that they have to be able to answer those questions. And then I realized too that our judges really know how to glean whether or not the student really understands their project. He had other projects. I know one project that he really enjoyed was a project on electromagnetic radiation, and that stemmed from his love of his cell phone. And you hear all these, the radiation from the cell phone, and so he did some research on it and decided he wanted to find out which would be the best way to block or insulate yourself from those electromagnetic frequencies. And that project, he did earn a state bid to the state science fair. He did place there at State Science Fair, and that experience gave him more confidence, I think, than anything he's done. And he said, just the experience of going, you meet recruiters from colleges, you meet mentors. I mean, it just opens so many doors for you. And he said, just like you said, being around other people and, that are doing science and having those conversations, he just really enjoyed that experience.
And I'm sorry, I know Griffin, I want to jump in because I know Griffin talked about that same thing when we had talked about the other students that you get to meet from that love what you do and support each other. So
yeah, and last year at the International Science Fair, the girl next to me was actually from Poland, and she was looking at how to use worms to degrade styrofoam. And she's continuing her research this year, and we're still, communicating back and forth almost a year later. And I've met people as close as Miami who are still continuing their research, and it's amazing to continue to talk to people and see how their research and life has changed since Science Fair.
I love that. And I had the opportunity to watch Will speak, your son, Pat, at a recent fundraiser, and wow, what a great speaker he is. He really was able to get up and present and share and
no notes.
And no notes. And people had questions for him, but so like you, Griffin, you really seem to have great presentation skills. So
Yes.
I know he said that's a benefit.
The Science Fair's helped a lot with that.
Oh, yes. Well, I know one of the greatest challenges for him right now as a freshman in high school is trying to decide what he wants to do with the rest of his life. And he has said, it runs the gamut. He loves automobiles, and he's thought about engineering and automotive design and, all the way. But he's also a really good mediator amongst his friend group, and he's thought about, perhaps maybe going into law. And he said, everything that I've done with Science Fair is going to help me, no matter what I choose to do. So I just feel like every student has that opportunity, and every student should participate in Science Fair.
That is great. Terry, you were telling me some of the really great stories and unique experiences you had at international, state and international. So I was hoping you could maybe share just a story with us.
Sure, and I thought of another one while you were talking. I had the opportunity the first year that I chaperoned for international. We went to Pittsburgh because I know they rotate the cities. And the student that I chaperoned was studying skin cancer. And he was an amazing kid. He got, I think, 4th place internationally. And he is now at Stanford and full ride. He got a Gates scholarship, which pays for everything. And his mom was a single parent who worked 2 different jobs, and she couldn't even come to state. She was the only parent not there to be able to watch his award because she had to work. And it was like, wow, this kid, he overcame a lot, and he's doing amazing things. And so that was really nice to be able to see. A lot of his science fair money, went towards helping him in college, and he also got exposed to different groups because it helps put, you put it on your resume and everything else.
Yes.
Like you said, it helps with public speaking, but it also helps you just to be able to be exposed to different types of people and also opportunities. One of the experiences, I think it was in Phoenix, was this boy that had won had made a filter system to filter airplanes quicker. So his filtering system was had several patents, and he was already a millionaire, I think, at age 16. He's from another country. I can't remember which country, but he was an amazing speaker. His project was amazing, and he'd already, had several Boeing and several other companies had already purchased it. So it's a unique opportunity. Not only do you, get exposure and all those other skills, but hey, it could be lucrative. So it's really neat. And international is, like he said, it's amazing because the kids are from all over the world. They all wear their different outfits. On one of the days, they have a pin trading day where they all bring pins from their country and they trade with each other. And they trade with the adults too, so I got to bring pins and trade. And they're all dressed in their garb, and it was just, it's an incredible experience. And even state is a great experience.
Yes.
That's great. So, Griffin, it's time to brag about some of your awards at Science Fair and even in your research. So here are just a few of Griffin's award. 4th place at the International Science Fair in Environmental Engineering. 2nd place in the State Science Fair, Microbiology. Best in Show, Indian River Regional Science Fair. And most recently, an incredible accomplishment. You're a semi-finalist in the Regeneron Student Talent Search, which is a national competition. And if you'll remind me, how many students apply and how many become semi-finalists?
So 2,000 students apply, 2,000 high school seniors apply for the Regeneron Talent Search, and 300 are selected as semifinalists.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. So tell us what is the Regeneron?
Yeah, so Regeneron Talent Search is the oldest science fair competition in the country. It's been going on since the early 1940s, I think. And what they do is, over your 3 years of research, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, you combine your projects into one common thread, and then you now it's online. You put in your information, you fill out all these different essays, and then they select the top 300, and out of that 300, they select the top 40 to compete in DC. And this is basically International Science Fair brings in 2,000 students from across the world. But this brings in the really dedicated students who have been working their entire high school career on one project that's really passionate for them. So for me, that's why it was really interesting.
That is truly incredible. And is that the project you're working on right now with Harbor Branch? Wow, that is so impressive.
Thank you.
It blows my mind that you're being so humble about it. And so those are some great things about Science Fair. Does anyone have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share, Terry?
Well, I was just going to say, not only is it could be lucrative and exposure and all that, but I was just thinking of the 2 girls that I met at an international fair, and they were from a little remote village in Mexico, and their village had a problem with water, kind of like us, but only a lot worse. It was their drinking water. And these 2 little girls figured out how to use natural products to create a filtering system that filtered out all the contaminants for their village. And so their village, several villages got together to send these girls. And when they got to Science Fair, they didn't even have an interpreter. So there was an interpreter provided for them. They had an amazing experience, but what a life-changing experience for them, for their village, and for people that met them, because it was life-changing to listen to them.
Incredible.
And earlier she mentioned about a student whose mom was working and couldn't come. We had a student last year who actually earned a bid to State Science Fair, and Education Foundation was able to offer a scholarship to him because his family could not afford the hotel and the food and everything that was required to go. So, you know, not just our science fair sponsors, but just our donors in general, we just have to say thank you. And if you'd like to be part of that dream for some child, go to our website and please give to the cause. You can give a little bit a month, or you can give a large donation, but it really does help our students succeed. So we really appreciate it.
Any closing thoughts for you, Griffin?
The Education Foundation, this year I needed $2,000 to continue my research, and Education Foundation helped me find funding and grants for that. So all the donors helped a lot this year.
Well, thank you. And I love the partnership between the school district, the community, and the Education Foundation to really support students like Griffin and those budding scientists, the kindergarten projects all the way through. So that's all we have today for Building Foundations, the Science Fair edition. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.